So it's been a little bit since I've talked about Valorant. There's been a lot of changes in the offseason. We're going to be talking about a couple of regions today. Nothing from China just because I don't know them super well. But starting off with Kamyk, you are going to have him be cut from Team Liquid, which I feel like is absolutely ridiculous. I do think that he was a pretty good player for this team, but even if Kamyk was the worst player on Team Liquid, clearly the worst player on Team Liquid, didn't get a single kill in any of the games, I still would not be cutting him because of the miracle run that they ended up going on in the loser side. The fact that you think this is something that you are going to be consistently repeating, I think is like, good on those Liquid guys. It's not like impossible for them. They were very, very strong, and you do have a strong calling position in Nats, but I don't know why you feel the need to change any of your pieces. It worked out so well for you. You had a really nice event. You get a win over Sentinels. Yeah, they weren't playing their best, but a win is a win at the end of the day. You lose to two of the best teams. It's just like, there's no reason to cut Kamyk. You guys did way better than you probably should have, and probably will do again. If I'm being completely honest, like there's a lot of teams in EMEA that I would expect to wake up. Heretics being a big one, Fnatic being a big one. I think Navi has potential. So now you're just going to be a little bit behind for Team Liquid. And before we talk about who Liquid is going to be replacing, Kamyk is already replacing someone in Robbie BK on Gentlemate. So let me pull them up real quick. I should have had them up before. That's honestly my bad. But that's a pretty, I think, weird decision. He's playing against Liquid first as well, which I think is really, really funny. So Robbie BK is the caller, I'm pretty sure, for this Gentlemate team. So you are just now going to be completely changing the identity. So maybe it's a bit of an upgrade in firepower. Yeah, but it's not like Robbie BK was horrible. And more importantly, he was your IGL. So I have no idea what Gentlemates are going to be doing now. I feel like this is honestly a worse change than what you made from Liquid. Like, maybe on paper it's good, but I think in practice this is going to be a pretty big failure. You might see an implosion from this Gentlemates team that honestly did not look that bad, but I guess they are a team that is going to be regulated next year. Maybe a little bit worried about that, but it doesn't make the choice better. Going back to Liquid, though, who they're going to get as a replacement for Kamyk, and I'm honestly not super sure. My big theory, though, the one I'm going to throw at you, is I think they're going to go for the tank, just considering that right after the tank gets dropped, you also have Kamyk getting dropped, and the tank is a very good player. Like, I could see why you would want to drop someone from your team to pick him up, unless you were a team like Team Liquid, which just had a run at an international event, now has less prep time than the other teams, also picking up a new player. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me for Liquid. Could they still be good afterwards? Yeah, I think so. I mean, the fact that they were good already shows a lot of potential. You got some really solid players on this team, like Nats and Patty Tech specifically are absolute hitters. Kiko and Camel were also impressive. So was Kamyk, but I guess not impressive enough for them. We'll have to see how their season turns out. But really, really weird decision here. Really quickly, I just wanted to say that Team Liquid is apparently going to be picking up Serial according to the spreadsheet. Now, I still like my tank theory better, but I just wanted you to know both. And keeping the ball rolling with the weird decisions, you're going to have NCR benched from MIBR, which makes like zero sense to me. Considering that Aspas joins Leviathan, he wants to be with his boy NZR. NZR gets cut on Christmas. A tragedy, a genuine tragedy. Now you have Aspas going to MIBR to be with his buddy. They build the team around the two of them, mainly around Aspas, but around the two of them. And now he's going to be cut. Now, I'm pretty sure that he was no longer IGLing. I think they gave that off to Artscene, so he's not going to have that massive value of an IGL. And I don't think that Artscene was like super amazing on MIBR. Like, if you were to cut someone, it probably would be Artscene or NCR. But again, MIBR just had a spectacular run to third place. Like, they performed extremely well, unless they just think that they're not going to be able to match that performance. They're like just counting themselves out. That's a fluke run. We need an upgrade. And to be fair, I think the player that they're going to be getting might be an upgrade. It's been rumored that they're going to be getting Verno, which is going to change like the dynamic of this team like massively, because first things first, language barrier, obviously that's a big dynamic. I don't know if they're just going to call in English, which I think would work. I think Aspas and Artscene are pretty fluent in the language. I'm not super sure about Cortesia and Xenom though, but if they're just going to be speaking in Portuguese, it's like, the big problem with Verno and Energy, he didn't calm a lot. He was just sitting in his corner. You could put him on that team and then just have Artscene translate the really important stuff for him, and he's just an anchor position. Or they can just completely transition to English. Maybe all those guys were great in English. I don't know. But still, calling in a second language, or maybe it is his first language, I don't know. But probably his second language is just not ideal for Artscene. Again, you're changing up the whole dynamic for the guy that Aspas presumably want to play with. So while maybe on paper, statistically, it's an upgrade because Verno is just like a really good piece to have on any team. It's just another really strange decision. At least it's not on Christmas, though. Next up is going to be Prize joining Furia for just the split because MW is out with an ailment, which I don't really know what that means, but hopefully MW gets better. He's not feeling too great, and it's only for the split. So I honestly don't know what that means for 2G for the rest of the year because I don't know who they're subbing in with quite yet. But regardless, coming into split 2, are they then going to sub Prize and Spike back into the team, or is it just going to be Spike going back to the team? And then for Prize, if he doesn't leave Furia, does he just go as a 6-man? So for the rest of the year, he's a 6-man instead of staying on 2G permanently. And it's not like for Prize, he's going for like a massive upgrade. You're going from like 2G, which did play very badly, to be fair, but to Furia, which also played very badly. Like the only game they won was with their tier 2 Americas team. So it's a very awkward position for Prize to now be in. I don't know. I don't think Furia is going to be substantially better for this. They probably should be worse for this on paper. Like MW is a massive player to be losing, but it also could be the exact vibe shift that a team like Furia needs. Like, to be fair to Furia, they have a lot of players that are very good. Like, Heat's very good. I think Rafa, Khalil, Havoc, they have the moments with Prize being out of this team. It could be the complete dynamic change that they needed. They're absolutely crazy. It probably won't be, though. I don't think that's going to be the situation. I think they're just going to be losing one of their best players to the split. It's going to be a little bit out of sync. Maybe they'll figure it out towards the end, but not enough to make a difference. And then coming into the second split, you're just going back to what you had before. And then I have no idea what it's going to look like for 2G. Again, it's kind of tough for these teams, especially now that they get relegated in a single year. Like, you got to be fast. You got to be winning instantly. 2G did not win instantly. They're missing their best player. Now they're missing another player because he's going to a different team. It feels like their entire year is already screwed, which is just nothing you want to see from the Ascension team. Super unfortunate. Next up is going to be genG dropping Yeoman, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be genG dropping Yeoman, keeping Foxy as the 6-man, and then adding Ash and Shigest on to the team. But as of now, it's just officially reported that they have dropped Yeoman, so maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe Foxy9 still plays, but I do think Foxy9 is going to get benched, which is really unfortunate for him. That guy can just never escape that place, but I don't know what I feel about this team, or I guess this change, rather, I should say, for genG, because they looked decent. They end up getting third place at this run. They lose to only the 2 best teams, have a really close series against T1 as well. Is it necessary for them to make? No. I think maybe if they want to win, it's necessary, and that's kind of the mindset that genG is in, and that's a really big risk for them to take in the middle of the season. Or not in the middle, I guess earlier on in the season, but still, regardless when you take it, it's just a massive risk to be subbing out 2 of your players. Now, one of them is going to be from your academy roster, which I think is a good idea, and the other one is going to be Shigest, who is insane. This guy is like actually super, super good, so I think on paper, maybe these are upgrades for genG, but I also think Yeoman, despite not performing maybe the best, is a super talented player that they're unfortunately going to be letting go. And again, it's just an entire change to how this team is going to be playing. Yes, you're keeping your core, but you kept your core from last year. It didn't work out right away, so now you're changing everything up. It feels very, very dramatic from genG. Could it be good? Will it probably be good in the long run? I think maybe yes. But again, it's crazy to see. And our final team is going to be Talon. They have cut Ban and Governor for Thigh and Killia. And this is very similar to the genG changes where you have an Academy player, a Tier 2 player, and this was a team that was good, a team that probably would have gone to the LAN without changes, but they wanted to win a trophy. So these are the changes that are made. Now the team is just fully centered around Premier. You're probably going to be speaking in Thai now. Maybe they were before, but you definitely are now. So in everyone's most comfortable language. And yeah, like as I said, Premier is just going to be the prime objective. Make sure that guy succeeds. Like, obviously that was the goal before, but I feel like it's definitely going to be the goal now. And I do think it's a little unfortunate that you have to cut players like Ban and Governor to achieve that, especially Governor. I think he's a really, really good talent. He'll absolutely find work in APAC if he stays, or in Americas. I think if he goes back, he could get on one of those tier 1 teams as either a duelist or an initiator player. Not a lot of slots, but he is incredible. I do think very highly of Governor, and I still think highly of this talent team. You still have Premi. These are 2 promising players. Like, Cruz is fundamentally super good. Jit Boys, I think, is like one of the most underrated players in the world. I think Jit Boys is like absolutely insane. He could pull off some insanely quick stuff on the smokes there. But yeah, this talent team should be, I think, about the same initially, maybe a little bit worse. But I think overall, in the long term, this actually does have a lot of potential, just completely changing the identity here, setting up a player like Premi to be just in exactly the position that he wants to be. Could be really good, but it also could be really bad. You are losing 2 very strong players in Ban and Governor. We'll just have to see how it goes. And with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to sub, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.